Hello again, everybody. Welcome back. This is Derek at ScreamingGullAirsoft.com coming to you with another Know-It-All video. This is Know-It-All video water timers, okay, or respawn timers. Now, what I'm going to show you how to do is I'm going to show you how to make a water timer that you can either use at your respawn points, your medics can carry them, or things like that. Okay, and all it is water with food coloring that you got a little cap there with some holes in it and two bottles glued together so that when you turn it over, okay, it starts to click off, right? And you can have this up as, this is my IV bottle, okay? This, I haven't taken this off yet and I'll explain why in just a minute. But this is my IV bottle, and I'm letting the blood give myself a transfusion at a respawn point. Okay, well that's what it's for. Now let's talk about how to make these. Alright, to get this project going, there's a couple of things you need to start with. You need some water bottles, okay? The bigger the water bottle, the more time it will be for your water clock, basically. Okay, so let's say, now I'm using very small Nestle Pure Lifes. These are 8-ounce bottles, so they are relatively tiny. Now when you hook two of them together, you're going to get a bigger bottle. Okay, so just imagine if you had two 2-liter bottles. That would be just too much. Okay. You will need to get some joints. Okay, PVC plumbing joints. I got some PVC couplings here where these would fit snugly on top of your water bottle. Understand? Okay, good deal. So you need some couplings. Okay, you will need some kind of coping saw or some kind of saw to cut one of the lids off of the bottles. I'll go into that in a minute. I have some PVC glue, some cement. PVC cement. This is a PVC transparent cleaner, and then this is the multi-purpose cement. I also picked up, and this is probably the most important piece, some goop, some brand name goop, amazing goop. It's plumbing glue, basically. It's like a rubber cement. Some red food coloring, and some distilled white vinegar. I'll explain all the reasons why for all these things later. Okay. You can use the water that's in your water bottles for the water clock, or you can drink them and then put tap water in. Whatever. I take an empty water bottle, okay, and I take the lid off. Now I'm going to save the lids because they're useful as the filter in a minute. Okay. Now between the plastic ring that's left behind when you break the seal and the extra little lip there that sticks up, what I have done is I have used a coping saw to cut the top of the lid off. After cutting through it, what you get is a flat top right there right above the seal. Okay, that's flat. Now from there I take a lid, one of the lids that I just took off, right? I poke 2 holes in it, and then what I use is a 1/4 inch drill bit, okay, that I'm using to make universal holes, so the holes are all the same size. I take it and just with your hand, just a drill bit in the hand, I crank out some holes in the lid, and what happens is you get a lid with 2 holes where you can get air and water to drain. So the air goes into one and the water goes into the other. Okay, 2 holes, 1/4 inch drill bit. Now, sometimes you're going to get a little plastic spurs sticking up or hanging out or whatever. You can just use a pocket knife, an X-Acto knife, or what have you, and you can cut or trim that plastic off. You know, I just take it and go and trim it off. Super simple. Okay, once you get this lid like this, and you get your top like that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this lid and I'm going to glue it to the top right there. Whenever I use any glue, I always put down some wax paper so that if I drip any glue on any fabric or a table or whatever, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be hitting the wax paper. Okay, so, and it doesn't stick to wax paper. You can always take it off of wax paper. Okay, so I have my flat top bottle right there, and I have my cut lid right there. Now, the reason why I'm going to try to visualize this, the reason why I would glue that there, okay, facing upwards, is so that when I go to put another bottle on, I can just screw it onto that lid. Okay, these are at a certain length that when I have it on here and I screw this bottle in, it'll all fit just right. Okay. Now before I glue anything with PVC glue, I always take the cleaner and clean. Done. Super simple. It's just kind of like scorching it a little bit. Now I take the all-purpose cleaner. It's kind of like a rubber cement looking goopy stuff, and what I do is just put it around, just dab it around the edges, being liberal with it to fill any gaps or holes or irregularities, so that when I put this lid on, whoo boy, does it stink bad. Okay, when I put that lid on there, it sits just flat on the glue, and then I set that off to dry. Okay, I'm going to take this piece, set it off to dry. Luckily, I already have one that's dry. Okay, I have already glued one on and it is dry. Okay, at this point you can take some goop, okay, if you want, and you can put it around the edge of the cap. Okay, that's just a little extra sealant or whatever. It's like this is what I use that really for, is to seal it up. Okay, next step. Okay, from the cap, what I need to do now is take a okay, before we even begin, before we continue, I wanted to say I recommend leaving the paper on until you're completely done and then peeling it off. I started peeling this off early, and what happens is some of these bottles are very sticky because there's the gluey, tapey, sticky stuff. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to take one of these joiners and we're just going to put it right on the top, and we're going to try to center it up and make it just perfectly awesome. Okay, what do? I take goop. I put goop liberally along the inside edge, along the bottom, making sure it's a 100% all the way around, no gaps, no holes. Okay, and I put it all the way around on the inside of there. Then all I do is just slide this on, straight on, and I kind of twist it a little bit left and right so that if there is any air holes or whatever, by twisting it, you're going to seal those up with the goop. Line it up just straight up and down. You got to kind of eyeball it, and then you have to let that dry. Luckily, guess what? I've got a few of these already made. Ta-da! Made. Okay, so it's got the lid inside, it's got the PVC glued to the side right there with goop, and it is ready to go. Basically, now all you need is another bottle to goop and screw onto the top. But before you do that, you have to take a water bottle, you need to empty it out. What am I saying? You need to empty it out 3/4 or 1/4 right below the paper. Okay, that's a good measuring tool for me, was right below the paper. I empty the water, take the top, take a couple of sips out of it, whatever. Then take your vinegar and fill it up. So now it is a 2/3 water, 1/3 vinegar mix. The reason why you put the vinegar in is to prevent it from developing mold inside there when you put it in storage. Okay, the vinegar kills all the mold, so it won't mold up. Okay, then you take a couple of drops, 1 drop is all you really need, of food coloring and drop it in the vinegar water mixture. Okay, what you get is red water, basically. It looks red water vinegar mix. Okay, and that's awesome. That's cool. Now, what I like to do here at this point is glue this onto that. But I can't do that with the water in it. Okay, actually I can, and I'll show you how. Unscrew the second lid that you're probably going to throw away, because you're going to have twice as many lids as you need, because there's only 1 lid being used in this. I take the goop and I try not to spill it or drop it or anything like that. Okay, I put the goop along the inside edge right here. Inside edge, just like I did when I glued it to the other bottle. A lot of this can be sped up or cut out. There we go. Goop all along the inside of that bottle. Okay, or that PVC joint. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this directly on top of that, down until the threads meet the top there. Then I'm going to screw it on. Okay, I'm screwing it down. Let me get this goop out of the way. This top is rubbing against this, so the goop is making a seal here, and it's screwing into that lid, which is glued to the top. And you don't want to screw it too tight. You might pop that lid or whatever. Just glue it, just screw it down until it's snug, and let it dry. It's pretty much done. Okay, you just have to let that dry. When it's done, what's going to happen is something. What's going to happen? Okay. You're going to have a bottle that looks like this. This one is dry. This is the one I just made. Okay. So now you just peel the paper off. Now that you're pretty much done, right? This is the glue I was talking about. You could always like wash that glue off if you want, if you care, to make it even more high speed. Okay, get the paper off. Now you have, well, there's a little bit of residue of the paper, but you can peel all that off later. You get the idea. Okay, now I have water in my water timer ready to go. When you flip it over, you do have to kind of put it at an angle so that water will drip through one of the holes and air will go through the other hole. If you go straight up and down, it turns it off. It pretty much stops. So if you go at like a 45-degree angle, it will count off. Okay. Some people in the magazine article, it says you could put like little red crosses right there. You could put like blood type on it or whatever. You could even take some surgical hose, hang it off of this like you're actually giving somebody an IV. I don't think all that's necessary. The crosses is a good touch, but I'm happy with just that. Okay. That was how to make water timers. Now, All right, well that was the water timers, water clock timers. They're about 1.5 minutes. You can use these on the airsoft field or any other place you might need a clock timer, and instead of using a actual clock, you can use these on the field. It gives a little more realism. Your medics can carry these or what have you. If you have any questions about this, you can email Derek at screameagleairsoft.com and I'll try to answer all your questions. Thank you for coming out and checking out this video. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, and remember, whenever you're out there on the airsoft field, play safe.